The Galactic Gauntlet. The recycled spaceship, humanity's hope, limped into the docking bay of Galactic Council Station Alpha, its patchwork hull a stark contrast to the sleek, gleaming vessels surrounding it. As the airlock hissed open, Ambassador Elena Chen straightened her suit and took a deep breath. This was humanity's moment, their chance to join the interstellar community after centuries of reaching for the stars. "Ready?" she asked, glancing at her team. Dr. Kwasi Osai, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, Commander Sarah O'Neill, decorated veteran of the Mars colonies, and Zhen Liu, a prodigy in quantum computing. They nodded, determination etched on their faces. As they stepped onto the station, a shimmer in the air caught Elena's eye. The translator implants were activating, ready to bridge the gap between Earth's languages and a cosmic babble that awaited them. The Galactic Council chamber was a vast amphitheater, its curved walls adorned with holographic displays of star systems and alien worlds. Hundreds of species filled the tiered seats, a dizzying array of forms and colors that made Elena's head spin. At the center, on elevated platforms, sat the High Counselors, the most powerful beings in the known universe. As the human delegation approached the speaker's podium, a wave of whispers and chitters swept through the chamber. Elena caught snippets of conversation from her translator. "Is that a carbon-based life form? How quaint, they still have hair. I heard they only achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago." High Counselor Xerix, a towering insectoid with iridescent compound eyes, raised a multi-jointed limb for silence. Representatives of Earth, their voice boomed, simultaneously deep and chittering. "You stand before the Galactic Council to petition for membership. Present your case." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Honorable counselors, esteemed members of the galactic community, we come before you as representatives of Earth and her colonies. For millennia, we have looked to the stars with wonder and aspiration. Now we stand ready to join you as partners in the great cosmic journey." She gestured to her team. "We bring with us the best of humanity, our sciences, our arts, our philosophies. We offer our unique perspective as a young species, eager to learn and contribute to the greater good of all sentient life." As Elena spoke, holographic displays sprang to life around her, showcasing Earth's achievements: the terraforming of Mars, the harnessing of antimatter for propulsion, the creation of primitive artificial intelligence. Yet, as the presentation continued, Elena noticed the High Counselors exchanging glances. Some antennae twitched in what she hoped was interest, but others seemed to be stifling the alien equivalent of yawns. When she finished, there was a moment of silence. Then, to her horror, a ripple of laughter spread through the chamber. High Counselor Xyrix's mandibles clicked in what Elena's translator interpreted as amusement. "Your enthusiasm is charming, representatives of Earth. However, the Galactic Council does not admit members based on potential. Your technology is centuries behind the galactic standard. Your so-called antimatter drive is little more than a crude firework compared to our quantum fold engines." From another platform, a being that seemed to be composed entirely of shimmering energy spoke, its voice a melodious hum. "And let us not forget their defensive capabilities. Tell me, humans, do you still rely on kinetic weaponry, on projectiles and explosives?" Dr. Osai stepped forward, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. "Counselor, while it's true that some of our weapon systems still utilize kinetic principles, we have also developed energy-based weapons and—" He was cut off by another wave of laughter. A counselor with multiple eye stalks waving in mirth interjected, "Energy weapons. How delightful. Next, you'll tell us you've mastered the power of the atom." Elena felt her cheeks burning with embarrassment, but she forced herself to remain composed. "Honored counselors, we acknowledge that our technology may not be as advanced as yours. But we believe that technology alone does not define a species' worth. Humanity's greatest strength lies in our adaptability, our creativity, our indomitable spirit." High Counselor Xerix raised an appendage, silencing the chamber. Pretty words, Ambassador. But the galaxy is a dangerous place. Membership in this council means taking on great responsibilities. It means being able to defend not just your own worlds, but to contribute to the defense of all. What could Earth possibly offer in the face of threats that have extinguished entire civilizations? A tense silence fell over the chamber. Alina exchanged glances with her team, seeing her own uncertainty reflected in their eyes. They had anticipated skepticism, even dismissal, but not this level of derision. It was Commander O'Neill who broke the silence. She strode forward, her cybernetic leg whirring softly, a reminder of battles fought and won. You want to know what Earth can offer? Her voice carried the weight of someone who had stared death in the face and didn't blink. We offer millennia of warfare experience. We offer strategies born from countless conflicts, honed through blood and fire. We may not have your technology, but I guarantee there isn't a species in this room that can outmatch us in sheer tactical innovation. Her words hung in the air, and for the first time, Alina saw genuine interest flicker in the eyes of some counselors. But it was short-lived. High Counselor Xerix leaned forward, compound eyes glinting. Bold claims, Commander. But claims mean nothing without proof. If you truly believe in humanity's tactical prowess, perhaps you'd be willing to prove it. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. What do you propose, Counselor? The insectoid's mandibles clicked in what could only be a smirk. A challenge, a test of your species' vaunted abilities. If you can prove yourselves, the Council might reconsider its stance on Earth's membership. Zhen Liu, silent until now, spoke up. What kind of challenge? Another counselor, a being with tentacles that seemed to phase in and out of reality, answered. A simulated war against an opponent of our choosing. And who would this opponent be? Alina asked, though she dreaded the answer. High Counselor Xerix's compound eyes seemed to glitter with malicious glee. The Six-Carry Dominion, undefeated for 3,000 years. Masters of strategy and warfare. Even long-standing council members hesitate to provoke them. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, a massive, world-ending fleet of ships that seemed to darken the very stars around them. Alina heard Quasi mutter a curse under his breath. If humanity can defeat the Six-Carry in a full-scale simulated conflict, Xerix continued, we will grant you full membership in the Galactic Council. Fail, and Earth's petition will be denied for the next century. Do you accept these terms? Alina looked at her team. Quasi's eyes were wide with shock. Jen was already muttering calculations under her breath. But it was Sarah's steady gaze that caught Alina's attention. The commander gave a subtle nod. Taking the deep breath, Alina turned back to the council. We accept your challenge, High Counselor, but we request time to prepare. Xerix's mandibles clicked rapidly. Laughter, Alina realized. But of course, we are not unreasonable. How long do you require? A decade. 2. Alina straightened her back, channeling every ounce of dignity she possessed. 1 Earth year. The chamber erupted in laughter once more. Even Xerix seemed taken aback. 1 year. Surely you jest. Very well, humans. We'll be generous. You have 1 standard galactic cycle, equivalent to 10 of your Earth years, to prepare. Return then, and face your trial by fire. As the human delegation was escorted out of the chamber, the laughter of 1,000 alien species ringing in their ears, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that they had just signed humanity's death warrant. Yet, as they boarded their patchwork ship, a fire burned in Sarah O'Neill's eyes. They have no idea what they've just unleashed, the commander said softly. Humanity has always been at its best when backed into a corner. Alina nodded, a glimmer of hope kindling in her chest. They had a decade to prepare for the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. A decade to prove that Earth deserved its place among the stars. As humanity's hope disengaged from the station, its recycled hull gleaming in the light of alien suns, Alina made a silent vow. When they returned, The Galactic Council wouldn't be laughing anymore. The gauntlet had been thrown, and humanity was ready to pick it up. Operation Trojan Horse. The Oort cloud, a vast cosmic halo of icy bodies encircling the solar system, had long been humanity's final frontier. Now, it was about to become their secret weapon. Deep within this celestial wilderness, a massive asteroid drifted innocuously among millions of its peers. But this was no ordinary space rock. Designated Project Olympus, the asteroid had been painstakingly hollowed out and transformed into humanity's most ambitious endeavor yet, a hidden facility dedicated to saving Earth's place in the galactic community. Inside the asteroid's cavernous interior, Dr. Samantha Lee stood before a holographic display of the Milky Way, her eyes fixed on a blinking red dot that represented the Galactic Council's headquarters. 9 years, 11 months, and 28 days had passed since humanity's humiliation. In just 48 hours, Earth would face its trial by fire. Status report, Samantha called out, her voice echoing through the bustling command center. A cacophony of responses flooded in from various stations. HFY's system is at 98% efficiency, running final calibrations now. Fleet simulations show a 62% success rate against last known 6-carry configurations. Quantum entanglement communication array is online and stable. Samantha allowed herself a small smile. They weren't ready, not by a long shot, but they were far beyond where the Galactic Council thought they'd be. As if summoned by her thoughts, the main doors hissed open, admitting Ambassador Elena Chen and Commander Sarah O'Neill. A decade had passed, but the fire in their eyes burned as bright as ever. "Doctor," Elena greeted, her once black hair now streaked with silver. "Please tell me you have good news." Samantha gestured to the holographic display. "To find good, Ambassador, we've made incredible strides. But the 6-carry are, well, they're not unbeatable, but it's going to be close." Sarah stepped forward, her cybernetic leg now a sleek, barely noticeable prosthetic. "Walk us through it, Doc. No sugarcoating." With a wave of her hand, Samantha expanded the holographic display. The Milky Way disappeared, replaced by a detailed battle simulation. "This is our latest run against a simulated 6-carry fleet," she explained. Tiny ships darted across the display, angular, predatory 6-carry vessels, against smaller, more diverse human craft. "As you can see, our unconventional tactics are effective." Initially, they watched as the human fleet executed a series of maneuvers that would have made ancient Earth admirals proud. Pincer movements, feigned retreats, and swarm tactics kept the 6-carry off balance. "The problem," Samantha continued, "is sustainability. The 6-carry adapt quickly. By the 3rd hour of combat, they've usually countered most of our strategies." Elena's brow furrowed. "But the HFY system was supposed to solve that. Isn't it designed to continuously generate new tactics?" "It is," a new voice chimed in. Zhen Lu, now sporting an impressive array of neural interfaces, approached the hologram. "But the 6-carry aren't static either. Their combat AI is formidable." Sarah crossed her arms. "So what you're telling me is that we're bringing a knife to a gunfight." "More like bringing a gunfight to a Star War," Zhen quipped, though her expression remained serious. "But we're not out of the fight yet. HFY has some tricks up its sleeve that even I don't fully understand." Samantha nodded. "That's the wild card. We've fed it everything. Military history, game theory, even animal behavior studies. It's not just generating tactics, it's innovating them in real time. And the 6-carry won't see it coming," Elena mused, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "That's the plan," Samantha confirmed. "But there's more." She waved her hand again, and the hologram shifted to display schematics of the human fleet. "We've been busy in other areas too. Our ships may look outdated on the outside, but inside, well, let's just say we've made some improvements." The schematics zoomed in, revealing layers of technology that would make even the most advanced council members raise an eyebrow, or whatever passed for eyebrows in their species. Metamaterial cloaking, gravity manipulation engines, and weaponry that combines principles of quantum entanglement with good old-fashioned kinetic impact, Samantha explained, her voice tinged with pride. It's not as advanced as 6-carry tech, but it's a hell of a lot more than they're expecting. Sarah whistled low. You've been busy, Doc, but will it be enough? Before Samantha could answer, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights pulsed along the walls as a voice announced over the intercom. Security breach in Sector 7. All personnel, initiate Protocol Omega. The command center erupted into controlled chaos. Screens flickered to life, showing security feeds from throughout the asteroid. There, Jen pointed to a monitor. A shadowy figure was darting through the corridors, expertly evading security measures. Impossible, Elena breathed. How did they find us? Sarah was already moving. Doesn't matter. We need to contain this now, if word gets back to the council. On it, Samantha interrupted, her fingers flying over a control panel. Initiating emergency lockdown. Jen, prep the memory wipe protocols. If we catch this intruder, we need to make sure they leave with nothing. As security teams converged on the intruder's location, the 4 leaders watched with bated breath. The figure was cornered in a storage bay, surrounded by crates labeled simulation equipment. When the security team finally apprehended the intruder, there was a collective gasp in the command center. The being that materialized in their holding cell was unmistakably a member of the Galactic Council, a Vorquin, if Samantha's xenobiology lessons served her correctly. Well, Sarah said, breaking the tense silence. This complicates things. Elena stepped forward, her diplomat's mind already racing. Maybe not. In fact, this might be exactly what we need. The others turned to her, questioning looks on their faces. Think about it, Elena continued, a sly smile forming. They sent a spy, which means they're worried. They don't know what we're capable of, and it's eating them up inside. Samantha caught on, her eyes widening. So we give them something to see. Something that'll make them even more confused. Exactly, Elena nodded. We let our guest here see just enough to make the council think they know our plans. But what they'll see won't be anything close to the truth, Sarah finished, a predatory grin spreading across her face. Jen was already tapping away at her neural interface. I can modify some of our older simulations, make it look like we're building some massive, flashy weapon. Something that'll have them scratching their heads but not give away our real advantages. Samantha felt a surge of pride as she looked at her team. This was humanity at its finest, backed into a corner but coming out swinging, turning a potential disaster into an opportunity. All right, people, she said, clapping her hands together. Let's give our Vorkin friend a show they'll never forget. Operation Trojan Horse is now in effect. As the team dispersed to put their hastily formed plan into action, Samantha allowed herself a moment of reflection. In less than 48 hours, they would face the trial that would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. The odds were stacked against them. The enemy was formidable, and now they had a spy to deal with. But looking around at the determination on her colleagues' faces, at the incredible technology they'd developed, and the sheer audacity of their plans, Samantha felt something she hadn't experienced in years: genuine hope. The Galactic Council had grossly underestimated humanity, and in 2 days' time, they would learn just how costly that mistake had been. As alarms continued to blare and her team raced to enact their deception, Samantha turned back to the holographic display of the galaxy. Somewhere out there, the Zixkari were preparing for what they thought would be an easy victory. Bring it on, she whispered to the uncaring stars. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they were truly made of. The stage was set. The pieces were in motion, and Operation Trojan Horse was about to change the course of galactic history. The Underdog's Gambit. The vast expanse of space surrounding Galactic Council Station Alpha was a glittering tapestry of stars and distant nebulae. Into this cosmic ballet glided humanity's fleet, a motley assortment of vessels that, to the casual observer, appeared to be held together by little more than hope and duct tape. On the bridge of the flagship Odyssey, Admiral Kira Chen, no relation to Ambassador Elena, stood ramrod straight, her weathered face a mask of calm determination. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their movements betraying none of the anxiety that must have been coursing through their veins. "Status report," Kira commanded, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. Her XO, Commander Rajpatul, responded promptly. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral. HLEs is online and running final checks. The Zix-Carry fleet has been detected at the edge of the system." Kira nodded, allowing herself a grim smile. "And our special preparations?" Raj's eyes twinkled with mischief. "In place and undetected, ma'am. The Trojan horse is ready to ride." "Excellent." Kira turned to the communications officer. "Patch me through to the fleet." As the officer complied, Kira took a deep breath. The weight of humanity's future rested on her shoulders, but she'd be damned if she'd let that burden show. "Attention all hands," she began, her voice resonating through every ship in the human fleet. "This is Admiral Chen. In a few moments, we will engage in the most significant battle in human history. The Zix-Carry believe they face an inferior opponent. They expect an easy victory." She paused, letting her words sink in. "They are mistaken. Each of you represents the pinnacle of human ingenuity, courage, and determination. We may be outnumbered, we may be outgunned, but we are not outmatched. Remember your training, trust in each other, and above all, believe in humanity's capacity to defy the odds." As she spoke, the first wave of Zix-Carry ships appeared on the long-range sensors, a terrifying armada of sleek, predatory vessels that seemed to devour the very light around them. "This is our moment," Kira continued, her voice growing fierce. "Not just to prove ourselves to the Galactic Council, but to show the universe what humanity is truly capable of. We are the descendants of those who crossed oceans, who reached for the stars, who never backed down in the face of impossible odds. Today, we add our own chapter to that legacy." The Zix-Carry fleet drew closer, their formation a textbook display of overwhelming force. "Battle stations," Kira ordered, her tone shifting to one of cool professionalism. "Initiate Operation Cuttlefish." Across the human fleet, a ripple of activity spread as the first phase of their plan kicked into gear. To the watching Galactic Council and the approaching Zix-Carry, it must have seemed like chaos. Ships breaking formation, engines sputtering, weapon systems apparently malfunctioning. On board the Council's observation platform, the assembled dignitaries watched with a mixture of pity and disdain. "It appears the humans' vaunted tactics amount to little more than disorganized panic," sneered a Volcran observer, its gelatinous form rippling with amusement. High Counselor Xerix chittered in agreement. "Perhaps we should have given them a century to prepare, rather than merely a decade." But as the Zix-Carry fleet closed in for what they assumed would be an easy kill, the trap was sprung. "Now," Kira's command rang out across the human ships. In an instant, the apparent chaos transformed into a perfectly coordinated dance. Ships that had seemed to be drifting aimlessly snapped into attack formations. Engines that had sputtered to life with dazzling bursts of power. And most surprisingly of all, vessels that had appeared small and fragile suddenly shimmered, their true forms revealed. Sleek, advanced warships that would have given even the Council's best engineers pause. The Zix-Carry, caught off guard by the sudden transformation, hesitated for a crucial moment. It was all the opening humanity needed. "All ships, execute maneuver Thermopylae," Kira ordered, a fierce grin spreading across her face. The human fleet moved as one, splitting into 3 distinct groups. The largest group surged forward, directly engaging the Zix-Carry front lines in a daring frontal assault. To the Zix-Carry, it must have seemed like suicide, until the true purpose of the maneuver became clear. As the Zixkari focused their firepower on the central attack, the two smaller human groups swept in from the flanks. Their ships, employing technology that seemed to bend the very fabric of space, danced through the Zixkari formation with impossible agility. On the Council's observation platform, stunned silence had replaced the earlier derision. "Impossible," breathed a Medusan observer, its tentacles writhing in agitation. "Their technology. It's beyond anything we anticipated." High Counselor Zurix leaned forward, compound eyes glittering with a mixture of shock and grudging admiration. "It seems," they chittered softly, "that we may have underestimated these humans." Back on the Odyssey, Kira watched as the battle unfolded. The Zixkari, for all their vaunted tactical prowess, were struggling to adapt to the humans' unorthodox approach. "Admiral," Raj reported, his voice tight with excitement, "HLEs is reporting a 78% success rate in predicting Zixkari responses. We're staying 3 steps ahead of them." Kira nodded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. "Excellent. Initiate Phase 2. Let's show them our little surprise." Across the battlefield, small, unassuming devices that had been seated throughout the combat zone during the initial chaotic phase suddenly activated. In an instant, the Zixkari found their advanced sensor systems bombarded with false readings, phantom ships, and illusory threats. "What is this madness?" the Zixkari fleet commander snarled, his mandibles clicking in frustration. "Our sensors are useless." As the Zixkari fleet fell into disarray, the human ships pressed their advantage. Weapons that combined the raw power of antimatter annihilation with the precision of quantum-guided projectiles tore through the enemy's once impenetrable shields. But the Zixkari were not the most feared warriors in the galaxy for nothing. As the initial shock wore off, they began to rally, their own AI systems working furiously to counter the humans' tactics. "Admiral," Raj warned, "they're adapting. HLEs is reporting a drop in predictive accuracy." Kira's eyes narrowed. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the true test of humanity's preparation. "Initiate Operation Hydra," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Across the human fleet, HLEs shifted gears. Instead of trying to predict the Zixkari's moves, it began generating completely new tactics on the fly, drawing inspiration from sources as diverse as ancient Earth battles to the swarming patterns of insects. The result was a constantly evolving battle strategy that left the Zixkari reeling. Every time they thought they had a handle on the human tactics, those tactics would shift, morph, and transform into something entirely new. On the Council's observation platform, the assembled dignitaries watched in awe as the battle unfolded. What had started as a seemingly one-sided slaughter had transformed into the most impressive display of tactical warfare many of them had ever witnessed. "By the cosmic serpent," whispered a Thralian observer, its bioluminescent skin pulsing with excitement, "I've never seen anything like this." High Counselor Zurix remained silent, but their posture had changed. Gone was the dismissive arrogance of before. In its place was a growing respect, and perhaps a touch of concern. As the battle raged on, with neither side able to gain a decisive advantage, one thing became abundantly clear to all observers. Humanity was far more than they appeared. They had taken the Galactic Council's challenge and turned it into an opportunity to showcase their true potential. The underdogs had not only survived the initial onslaught, but were now dictating the terms of engagement. And as the stars wheeled overhead and weapons fire lit up the void, the fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galactic order, hung in the balance. The underdog's gambit had been played. Now, it was time to see if it would pay off. Ripples in the galactic pond. The battle raged on, a dazzling display of light and destruction against the backdrop of infinite space. What had begun as a simple trial by combat had evolved into something far more significant, a watershed moment in galactic history. On the Galactic Council's observation platform, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. Gone was the earlier derision and mockery. In its place, A tense silence reigned, punctuated only by gasps of astonishment as the human fleet pulled off yet another seemingly impossible maneuver. High Counselor Xyrix's compound eyes flickered rapidly, processing the unfolding spectacle. Remarkable, they chittered softly. Simply remarkable. Beside them, Ambassador Elena Chen stood tall, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She had been invited to observe the battle alongside the council members, a courtesy that now seemed prescient. High Counselor, Elena spoke, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding before them. I believe you're witnessing firsthand why humanity deserves a place among the stars. Xyrix turned to her, mandibles clicking in what Elena had learned to recognize as thoughtful consideration. You've certainly given us much to ponder, Ambassador, but the battle is not yet won. As if to underscore the High Counselor's words, a massive explosion blossomed in the space between the warring fleets. A human cruiser, its shields finally overwhelmed, succumbed to the relentless Xyxcari assault. Elena's heart clenched, but her expression remained resolute. She knew the cost of this battle, in lives and resources, but also understood its necessity. Humanity was fighting for more than just membership in the Galactic Council. They were fighting for their very future among the stars. Back on the bridge of the Odyssey, Admiral Kira Chen watched the tactical display with laser focus. The loss of the cruiser was a blow, but not an unexpected one. The Xyxcari were formidable opponents, and despite humanity's innovations, they still held a significant technological edge. Status report, Kira barked, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the bridge. Commander Rajpatul responded immediately, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. We've lost the Thermopylae, Admiral. Xyxcari forces are attempting to exploit the gap in our formation. Kira nodded grimly. This was the moment she had been anticipating and preparing for. Initiate Operation Chimera, she ordered. Across the human fleet, a ripple of activity spread as the next phase of their grand strategy unfolded. Ships that had appeared to be simple support vessels suddenly transformed, revealing hidden weapon systems that blazed to life with terrifying power. On the Xyxcari flagship, Supreme Commander Vorkath hissed in frustration. What new devilry is this? He snarled, his scaled skin flushing with anger. How many more surprises do these humans have? His tactical officer, a beam of living crystal, chimed in alarm. Supreme Commander, we're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the human fleet. Their power outputs are impossible. Before Vorkath could respond, the space around his ships erupted in a dazzling display of destructive force. Beams of coherent light, more powerful than anything the Xyxcari had encountered before, lanced out from the human vessels. Where they struck, Xyxcari shields buckled and failed. On the Council observation platform, the assembled dignitaries watched in awe as the tide of battle shifted once again. By the cosmic egg, breathed a Vulcan observer, its gelatinous form rippling with excitement. What manner of weapons are those? Elena allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. We call it the Archimedes array, she explained. A fusion of solar collection technology and quantum amplification. In essence, we're unleashing the power of a star with pinpoint accuracy. High Counselor Xyrix turned to her, mandibles twitching in what Elena now recognized as barely concealed astonishment. Impossible, they chittered. Such technology is beyond even the most advanced council races. With all due respect, High Counselor, Elena replied, her voice tinged with pride. I believe we've demonstrated today that impossible is simply a challenge humanity has yet to overcome. Back in the heart of the battle, the human fleet pressed its advantage. The Archimedes arrays had caught the Xyxcari completely off guard, but Kira knew they wouldn't have long before the enemy adapted. All ships, she commanded, her voice ringing through the fleet-wide comm. Execute maneuver Honeybee Swarm. In an instant, the human fleet's formation dissolved into apparent chaos. Smaller ships darted between the lumbering Xyxcari cruisers, their erratic movements defying prediction. Larger vessels hung back, providing covering fire with their newly revealed Archimedes arrays. To the Zixkari, it must have seemed like madness, but there was method in this chaos, a strategy inspired by nature itself. HFY's Kira addressed the AI directly. Initiate subroutine Queen Bee. The A's response was immediate. Across the human fleet, ships began to move with uncanny coordination. What had appeared to be random chaos resolved into a complex, ever-shifting pattern. Small ships darted in to deliver precision strikes before retreating under the cover of their larger companions. On the Zixkari flagship, Supreme Commander Vorkath watched in growing despair as his carefully constructed battle plans crumbled. "How?" he growled, his claws digging into the arms of his command chair. "How are they anticipating our every move?" His tactical officer's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. "Supreme Commander, we're detecting some form of quantum entanglement network linking the human ships. They're operating as a single entity." Vorkath's eyes widened in realization. In all his centuries of combat, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans weren't just fighting as a fleet. They were fighting as a hive mind, their individual ships mere extensions of a greater whole. As the battle raged on, its significance began to dawn on the watching council members. This was more than a test of humanity's worthiness. It was a glimpse into the future of warfare, and perhaps civilization itself. Ambassador, High Counselor Zurich spoke, their voice uncharacteristically subdued. "I believe we may have miscalculated in our assessment of your species." Elena nodded, her eyes never leaving the battle display. "A common mistake, High Counselor. Humanity has a long history of being underestimated. It rarely ends well for those who make that error." As if to punctuate her words, a massive Zixkari dreadnought succumbed to the human assault. Its kilometer-long frame shuddered as multiple Archimedes array beams converged on a critical weak point, guided by HLS's predictive algorithms. The resulting explosion lit up the battlefield like a newborn star. On the Odyssey's bridge, a cheer went up from the crew, but Kira remained focused, her eyes scanning the tactical display for their next target. "Don't celebrate yet," she cautioned. "The Zixkari still outnumber us. We need to press our advantage while we have it." As if in response to her words, the Zixkari fleet began to regroup. Their initial shock at humanity's innovations was wearing off, and they were falling back on millennia of combat experience. "Admiral," Raj reported, his voice tense, "the Zixkari are adapting to our swarm tactics. HLEs is predicting a 30% drop in effectiveness over the next 10 minutes if we don't change strategies." Kira nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "As expected. They don't give up easily. That's good. Neither do we." She straightened, her voice ringing with authority. "Prepare for Operation Looking Glass. It's time to show them our final surprise." As her orders spread throughout the fleet, Kira allowed herself a moment of reflection. The battle was far from over, but already its impact was rippling through the galactic community. Win or lose, humanity had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. On the Council observation platform, the assembled dignitaries watched with bated breath. The humans had already shattered their preconceptions, rewritten the rules of engagement, and demonstrated technology that should have been impossible. What more could they possibly have in store? As both fleets regrouped for the next phase of battle, one thing was abundantly clear. The ripples from this conflict would spread far beyond this single engagement. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the heart of that change. The next move would be decisive. And as the stars wheeled overhead, indifferent to the cosmic drama unfolding before them, the fate of humanity, and perhaps the entire galactic order, hung in the balance. Humanity's cosmic debut. The vastness of space, usually silent and indifferent, now pulsed with the thunder of battle. Weapons fire crisscrossed the void, painting the cosmos with deadly light. At the heart of this celestial storm, humanity fought not just for victory, but for its very future among the stars. On the bridge of the Odyssey, Admiral Kira Chen stood resolute, her eyes fixed on the holographic battle display. The human fleet had performed admirably, shattering expectations and pushing the vaunted Zixkeri to their limits. But the enemy was rallying, adapting to humanity's unconventional tactics with the skill born of millennia of warfare. Status report, Kira commanded, her voice steady despite the tension thrumming through the ship. Commander Rajpatul responded promptly, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. The Zixkeri are regrouping, Admiral. They're forming a new battle line, concentrating their firepower. HFY predicts they'll be able to punch through our defenses in approximately 15 minutes. Kira nodded grimly. This was the moment she had been anticipating and dreading. It's time, she said softly, before raising her voice to address the entire fleet. All ships, prepare for Operation Looking Glass. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Across the human armada, a ripple of activity spread as crews rushed to implement the final desperate gambit they had prepared for. On the Council's observation platform, the assembled dignitaries watched with bated breath, wondering what new surprise the humans could possibly unveil. High Counselor Zurix turned to Ambassador Elena Chen, their compound eyes flickering with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Ambassador, your fleet fights with admirable courage, but surely you must see that the tide is turning. Perhaps it would be wise to concede now, with honor. Elena's lips curved into a small, enigmatic smile. Thank you for your concern, High Counselor. But I assure you, humanity is far from finished. In fact, we're just about to show you something truly remarkable. Back on the Odyssey, Kira took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Initiate Operation Looking Glass, she commanded. May the spirits of Earth guide us. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The human fleet continued its intricate dance with the Zixkeri forces, neither side gaining a clear advantage. Then, suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. On the Zixkeri flagship, Supreme Commander Vorkath's scales bristled with alarm. What trickery is this? He snarled. Report. His sensor officer, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with confusion. Supreme Commander, we're detecting massive gravitational anomalies throughout the battlefield. It's as if space itself is being warped. Vorkath's eyes widened in disbelief. Impossible. No race has mastered such technology. But the evidence was undeniable. All across the battlefield, localized areas of space began to twist and fold. Human ships slipped into these distortions, reappearing instantly at other points in the combat zone. Zixkeri targeting systems, calibrated for normal spacetime, suddenly found themselves woefully inadequate. On the Council observation platform, pandemonium erupted. By the cosmic egg, exclaimed a Volcrin observer, its gelatinous form rippling with excitement. Are they manipulating the fabric of spacetime itself? High Counselor Zyrix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Ambassador, they chittered, turning to Elena. What manner of technology is this? Even the most advanced council races have only theorized about such capabilities. Elena's smile widened, pride evident in her voice. We call it the Einstein-Rosen bridge array, or more colloquially, the Looking Glass, a network of localized wormholes, allowing for instant tactical repositioning across the battlefield. The council chamber fell silent, the implications of this revelation sinking in. Humanity hadn't just developed a new weapon or tactic, they had fundamentally altered the nature of space combat itself. Back in the heart of the battle, the human fleet was pressing its newfound advantage. Ships appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye, striking at Zixkeri weak points before vanishing again. The once orderly Zixkeri formation began to crumble under the assault. On the Odyssey's bridge, Kira watched the tactical display with fierce intensity. Status of the Looking Glass network, she demanded. Holding steady. Admiral, Raj reported. Achilles is coordinating jumps with 99.7% efficiency. The Zixkeri fleet is in disarray. Kira allowed herself a small, grim smile. Excellent. All ships, execute final attack pattern. Let's end this. The human fleet moved as one. HLEs coordinating their efforts with inhuman precision. Ships blinked in and out of existence across the battlefield, appearing at the heart of Zix-Carry formations to deliver devastating blows before vanishing again. On his flagship, Supreme Commander Vorkath watched in mounting horror as his carefully constructed battle plan disintegrated. Ships that had stood firm against the galaxy's greatest threats for millennia were being picked apart with terrifying ease. This cannot be, Vorkath murmured, his proud bearing crumbling. We are the Zix-Carry. We do not know defeat. But defeat, it seemed, had finally caught up with the mighty Zix-Carry. As the battle reached its crescendo, the outcome became increasingly clear. Humanity, the upstart race that had been dismissed and underestimated, was on the verge of achieving the impossible. On the Council observation platform, the mood had shifted dramatically. What had begun as amused condescension had transformed into awe, and not a small amount of fear. High Counselor, a Medusan observer ventured, its tentacles writhing nervously. Perhaps we should reconsider our stance on Earth's petition for membership. Zyrix didn't respond immediately, their compound eyes fixed on the battle unfolding before them. When they finally spoke, their voice was uncharacteristically subdued. I believe, colleagues, that we may need to reconsider far more than just Earth's membership. As if to punctuate the High Counselor's words, a massive explosion blossomed in the heart of the Zix-Carry fleet. Their flagship, a vessel that had stood unconquered for 1,000 years, succumbed to a coordinated strike from multiple human vessels. In the eerie silence that followed, Supreme Commander Vorkath's voice crackled over the open channels. Enough, he said, his once proud voice now heavy with resignation. We yield. The battle is yours, humans. Never in our history have we encountered such innovation. On the Odyssey's bridge, a cheer went up from the crew. But Admiral Kira Chen remained focused, her voice clear as she addressed the Zix-Carry commander. We accept your surrender, Supreme Commander. Let this day mark not the end of our conflict, but the beginning of a new understanding between our peoples. As the human fleet began standing down from battle stations, the full impact of what had transpired began to sink in. Humanity had not just won a battle, they had reshaped the very nature of galactic warfare. The ripples from this conflict would spread far and wide, altering the cosmic balance of power in ways no one could yet fully comprehend. On the Council observation platform, Ambassador Elena Chen turned to High Counselor Zyrix, her expression a mixture of pride and determination. High Counselor, I believe we have some matters to discuss regarding Earth's place in the galactic community. Zyrix's mandibles clicked rapidly, a gesture Elena had come to recognize as rueful amusement. Indeed we do, Ambassador, indeed we do. I suspect the galaxy will never quite be the same after today. As the dust of battle settled, and the stars continued their eternal dance, humanity stood poised on the threshold of a new era. They had arrived on the galactic stage not with a whimper, but with a bang that would echo through the cosmos for eons to come. The Galactic Council had sought to test humanity's worth. Instead, they had witnessed humanity's cosmic debut, a performance that would be remembered as long as sentient beings looked up at the stars and dreamed of the infinite possibilities that awaited them. Humanity, underestimated and overlooked, had proven themselves not just worthy of joining the galactic community, but capable of leading it into a bold new future. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now seemed like stepping stones to even greater adventures. As ships from both fleets began the process of standing down, as diplomats prepared for the negotiations that would reshape the galaxy, one thing was abundantly clear. Humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning. And what a journey it promised to be.